Hello, Michael. Nice to see you. After seeing young people present their solutions during last year's competition or the previous editions, what kind of solutions stood out to you the most? On a general view, what type of solution should you focus on? And what do you wish more youth should understand about how these institutions or stakeholders or perhaps UN view youth-led solutions?
Obviously, when you transition out of university into kind of the world of work, it's a big leap. And what stood out to me about these solutions is that you had teams of diverse people coming together. So, this is the first lesson, I think, is that this teamwork is really important, and the ability to form a team of people with different skills, but sometimes people with different opinions. You might not always agree, but that's also a strength. Teamwork is such an important thing. There are very few people that deliver as individuals. You might find brilliant researchers who can sit in a lab and develop something on their own, but that's the exception rather than the rule. So throughout your career, it'll be doing things as part of a team. So seeing these teams come together was really instrumental, I think, in achieving these good results. The second thing that I'd observe is that there was a focus by many of the teams on solving problems for vulnerable communities or for communities in sort of marginal situations in countries, either economically or socially marginalized. So that kind of sympathetic antenna to say that, okay, how can we support people who are maybe left behind? People might not have huge amount of spending power, people that struggle with the basic services that we take for granted. So being able to kind of bring your energy expertise, but use it in the service of needy people. I think also what came through with many of the applications was using systems thinking. Okay, what about the technology, but then what about the economics, the business plan? What about the social development? Bringing those things together through systems thinking. And that also comes back to teamwork. So in terms of, areas to look at or advice that I could pass on, I think it's really important to do a couple of things. I think one would be kind of a desktop study of looking at what's gone before and maybe looking at the successes and failures of other startups who have tried similar things, because we kind of learn by doing, and we also stand on the shoulders of people who've gone before. So I think one really good starting point is to say that, have there been other companies who have tried this? Did they fail? Did they succeed? If they failed, what were the reasons? Because sometimes we can learn a lot from the failures as well. Another thing that I would say is, always try to look at it from the point of the user. So what problem are you trying to solve? And if you think you can solve this problem, how do you then sell it to the user? So if you're the person who, is a potential uptaker of this technology or this solution, how does it benefit for their daily life? How much would they be willing to pay for it? Because as engineers, we often get caught up in technology for technology's sake. And it's really important to have that discipline or that instinct to say that, well, actually, what problem am I trying to solve? And does this solve that problem particularly well or not so well, or maybe not at all? This would be one kind of devil's advocate. And sometimes in your team, you might think about having kind of a red team and a blue team. So you can have somebody who is maybe the devil's advocate, who sits there and maybe says all of the reasons why it might not work, and then you try to counter that with your explanations. And the last point I would try to make is that it really requires like a multidisciplinary approach. Try to think as much as possible in terms of systems. And often with an idea, it starts with sort of a technology, and people get very much involved in the technical performance and the technical analysis. But then you need to think about the business dimension and the social dimension. How does this product or this idea get its own scale up through uptake? What are the costs in scaling it up? What are the kind of risks? Because often when we look at the venture capital world, there are a lot of good ideas, but there's a very small funnel that those ideas have to fit through to get to the market. And often why ideas don't get commercialized or don't reach kind of full scale up in the market might be to do with risks and either not understanding risks. So this is kind of a really important discipline to put into the planning as well, to try and have a very robust approach to risk.